Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Week in Esports. I'm your host, Lubu, and this is a wonderful Week in Esports. Welcome to July. Let's see what happened in the previous week. First things first, fresh off the press yesterday, League of Legends franchising has finally become something that players know exists. Previously, they just didn't get it, I guess. Esports, welcome to sports. Welcome to real sports. It's time for you with contracts and adult brains to understand what franchising means to you, the players, and understand what capitalism means to you, the poor people, or idiots. One of those two is definitely sure. Franchising. The teams in the league can sell you to other teams. They have that right. They have your contract. They own you as a employee. And if you don't want to go along with that, great, go be unemployed. That's their choice. You can be a free agent if you want to, but the reality is that with the teams franchising, and Overwatch League, you should really be paying attention to this part if you play Overwatch for professionally. If you sign this contract with the league, you are just signing a contract with the league, and the teams can move you in between the teams as they fucking want. They're gonna trade you. If you're not performing, if you are performing and they want someone who's different, they can just give you away. And that's it. They have no obligation to keep you on the team unless you have a special contract because you're a very good player. Most of you aren't. And they can just move you on. I mean, even if you're a professional player, unless you're Bjergsen or Faker, you know, you're not getting the special treatment. You are the same as, you know, all Braves pitchers after the after the Maddox Glavine era. I combined two great pitchers into one. The Maddox and Glavine era. After like just think about it like that. Like you're a good player on a baseball team, but you aren't their star player. Well, that's all of you in League of Legends, except for like the 3 people in the world who get special treatment. And you're supposed to have a players union to look after you. And League of Legends just set up a players union made up of players who are 23 years old, which can lead to a lot of problems because you're not old enough to understand it, and the people who are working at the top, who are adult, you know, more adult, maybe in their 30s or older, those people are still being paid by Riot Games or by the investors. And so they aren't looking out for your best interests, really. They're looking out to make sure that everybody is treated fairly. But they don't, I mean, you're not the star player. You quitting or going to that team, it doesn't make any fucking difference because ultimately their bottom line doesn't change. So if you're a League of Legends player and you're watching the show, and you're not, I'm sure, why would you? But if you are, like, this is something you should research. Your lawyers are supposed to read over contracts. You should have a lawyer. If I was making $20,000 more than I make now, I'd probably have a real lawyer. I would probably actually get a lawyer instead of calling my dad's buddy once a year to see if I need to go to jail. But you, as a person making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, get a fucking lawyer. Like, what are you doing? And have them read your contracts and really like look it over and educate yourself. If you spent the last 2 years as League of Legends was franchising, just leaning back like, this is great, nothing bad can come from this, what could possibly go wrong? You deserve this because you're stupid. You should not ever just accept that this is going to be good without actually looking into it. So, League of Legends franchising, good luck Meteos on the B squad for FlyQuest, I guess. And this will happen a lot going forward, and you know, players are going to either have to get used to this or they're going to be, you know, sold. Moving on to our next topic. If you caught it this past weekend, awesome. If you missed it, what the hell are you doing? CEO, Community Effort Orlando, was phenomenal. Community Effort Orlando, for those of you who maybe don't know, is Jabali's annual humongous tournament in Florida, in the great city of Daytona, which has by far per capita the most strippers per square foot. Fantastic city. CEO was down in Daytona. It was great, and they had New Japan Wrestling there with them. Now, CEO just as a fighting game tournament is amazing. They had Dragon Ball FighterZ, they had Street Fighter, they had all the Smash Brothers games. They had a booth where you could play the new Smash Brothers before, you know, we've even really seen a whole lot of it. They had so much stuff going on CEO, and then they got Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi from the New Japan Wrestling to come all the way across. Kota doesn't even like flying. He hates that shit. They got them and a whole stable of wrestlers come down there, put on a huge show on the first night. They built their own arena. It was crazy. And then they had this huge thing. Even Jim Bailey got in the ring. Like, it was nuts. And the Golden Lovers, they put on an amazing show. Kota Ibushi is probably one of the most physically insane wrestlers I've ever seen. Dude is just like, he looks like if Zangief had with his body was in real life. Dude is so cut up. And then he can also do like backflips and handsprings. So I don't even know, my whole perception of like muscle density is confused. But the show was amazing. It's a groundbreaking thing to have wrestling and fighting games together. And putting stuff like that together where they do have a lot of overlap in the audiences is brilliant. It's a genius marketing move for CEO. It's great for getting more exposure to New Japan for America. And I expect to see a lot of this in the future. I know the NASCAR is already trying to experiment with bringing tournaments, video game tournaments to NASCAR events because they're losing a lot of the young people who want to go out to NASCAR. And I don't blame them. I don't want to go to NASCAR, but also who wants to play video games in the summer in Memphis in the heat? Because if you don't melt, your Xbox probably will. But CEO, great event. You can check out the VODs online on Twitch. And that is it for this week in esports. I do want to leave you with one last message. Speedrunning is a competition by default. If you think that sprinting or the high jump or marathons are a sport, speedrunning is also an esport. That's it. Thank you so much for this week in esports. I'm your host, and I am Chef Lubu, and you can catch me on Twitter at chef_LU_BU. Feel free to follow this channel on YouTube or on Facebook, and I will see you next week for next week's Week in Esports. Thank you.